Hi, I'm Justin Thames, Director of Governmental Affairs for the Florida Institute of CPAs, and this is Impact Report during week 4 of the legislative session. So after the beginning of session, there's roughly 3,000 bills that have been filed. Of those, we're currently monitoring about 200 pieces of legislation to ensure that they don't negatively impact the profession or if they impact the services that you provide to your clients. So that relates to local governments, to state tax issues, also condos and HOA issues. We're monitoring a great deal of diverse issues for the profession this year. Specific bills that are moving their way through the process, just to highlight a few. One would cap the fees for delinquent CPA licenses to $25. That's continuing to make its way through the committee process. Another issue would be that there is a move by the legislature to create some supervisory actions by the Department of Business Professions for the regulatory boards. We're continuing to monitor that to see how that was going to impact the profession. The House Ways and Means Committee this week has published their 2017 tax plan. That includes several of the familiar exemptions that we see every year for sales tax, such as the back to school. Newly added last year is the hurricane preparedness. Another one that's new this year is going to be sales tax exemption for diapers. So there's roughly $2.2 billion worth of tax cuts in the House tax cut plan. Now that plays into the appropriations process as we continue to move forward this session. How much is the Senate going to be willing to concede on those tax cuts that the House wants, and vice versa? So we're going to monitor the appropriations process as we move into week 5 and further down the line. Another issue that has come up this year, this past week actually, is the Constitutional Revision Commission, which you may or may not be familiar with. They had their first meeting this week in Orlando at the University of Central Florida. Now they're going to move around the state to get input from the public on issues that should be included in the Constitutional Revision Commission's plan for constitutional amendments that we've put directly onto the ballot for the general public to consider during the next elections. So this is important to us because the last time the commission met, there was an effort to include a sales tax on services provision into the recommendations. So we're going to continue to monitor that progress as the commission moves around the state and meets and gets input from the public. That's where we are today in week 4 of the legislative session. We're going to continue to update you as we move forward and on some of the bills that I've already mentioned, and highlight some additional bills in our next episode of Impact Report. As always, if you'd like to reach out to us on a specific issue, feel free to email us at govaffairs@ficpa.org. Thank you so much for your support, and we appreciate all your input and all your efforts on behalf of the profession.